Phishing. Phishing is the digital scammer who dresses up in a business suit and shows up in your inbox pretending to be someone you trust. The idea is simple: trick you into handing over personal data like passwords or bank details. Most of the time, it arrives as an email with a link to a fake site that looks almost identical to the real thing. The message often says something urgent like, "Your account will be suspended in 24 hours." So you panic and click before thinking. This trick has been around since the 1990s and has evolved to appear in text messages, on social media, and even in phone calls. One of the most infamous examples was the "I love you" virus in 2000, an email-based malware that caused billions of dollars in damage and still ranks as one of the most costly phishing incidents in history. The lesson is simple: slow down, double-check the sender, and never trust a link just because it looks official. Spear phishing. Spear phishing is phishing with a sniper scope. Instead of blasting the same scam email to thousands of people, hackers carefully study one target and craft a message that feels almost too real. They dig through social media, leaked data, or company websites, then create an email that looks like it came straight from your boss or bank. It might even mention a real transaction you made or use inside company language, which makes it harder to doubt. This technique first appeared in the early 2000s and has been linked to several high-profile breaches, including the 2016 hack of the Democratic National Committee. In that case, carefully written emails gave attackers the keys to sensitive government systems. Spear phishing is scary because it does not look like spam. It looks like business as usual. The best defense is healthy skepticism. If an email asks you to click a link or share sensitive data, verify the request through another channel before you act. Social engineering. Sometimes the strongest password or the best firewall cannot protect you, because the real target is not the computer, it is you. Social engineering is the art of hacking humans, convincing someone to share information or grant access just by asking in the right way. Unlike phishing, which leans on fake websites or bulk emails, social engineering relies on trust. A hacker might call pretending to be tech support, charm their way past a receptionist, or impersonate a coworker. The earliest known cases go back to the 1980s, with hacker Kevin Mitnick famously breaking into corporations not with malware, but with confidence and a phone line. These tricks are still alive today in the form of fake IT calls, email impersonation, or bogus tech support pop-ups. Because the requests often sound routine, victims rarely question them. The best defense. Treat any unexpected request for access or personal data like a knock on your door from a stranger. Verify before you open up. SIM swap attack. Your phone number may look like a harmless string of digits, but in the wrong hands, it is a master key. A SIM swap attack happens when a fraudster convinces your mobile provider to move your phone number onto a SIM card they control. Once that is done, every call and text meant for you, including two-factor authentication codes, arrives with them. Imagine waiting for a text to approve a bank transfer and watching someone else across the country get the message and press approve. This technique rose into public view around the early 2000s and 10s and surged as cryptocurrency became valuable, with high-profile incidents in the late 2010s where attackers stole large sums by hijacking investors' numbers. The attack is deceptively low-tech, social engineering plus a willing or duped customer service rep. Defend yourself by adding a PIN or passcode with your carrier, avoid SMS for critical two-factor authentication when possible, and enable app-based authenticators or hardware tokens for the most sensitive accounts. Keylogging. Keylogging is the digital equivalent of a spy scribbling down everything you type while hiding behind your monitor. Keyloggers record keystrokes so attackers can harvest passwords, private messages, credit card numbers, or any other sensitive text you enter. Historically, keylogging began as physical devices attached to keyboards in the 1970s, and then evolved into stealthy software in the 1990s and beyond. Modern keyloggers often arrive bundled with malware from phishing emails or compromised downloads, and some are extremely hard to detect. Think of it as leaving your diary open on a coffee table while someone secretly photocopies every page. Because keyloggers capture input at the source, even encrypted traffic does not stop them. The easiest protections are common sense and layered security. Avoid downloading files from untrusted sources. Keep your operating system and antivirus up to date. Use password managers and multi-factor authentication so that even if a password is captured, it is not enough on its own. Credential stuffing. Credential stuffing is what happens when old leaks meet human habit. Attackers take lists of usernames and passwords exposed by past breaches and feed them into automated tools that try those same credentials across many websites. Because many people reuse passwords, one matched pair is often enough to break into email, retail accounts, cloud storage, or financial services. This method gained recognition in the late 2000s and became widespread after large breaches in the 2000s exposed millions of credentials. It is like a burglar trying the same stolen key on hundreds of doors until one opens. The simple but powerful defenses are unique passwords per site and a password manager to keep them usable. Add multi-factor authentication to high-value accounts and monitor for reused credentials via reputable breach notification services so you can change exposed passwords quickly. Brute force attack. Brute force attacks treat authentication like a lock that will open if you try enough combinations. Automated programs try every possible password or PIN until one works. For weak or common passwords, the process is trivial. For stronger passwords, modern hardware and cloud computing can still chip away if the password is short or predictable. This technique grew with the advent of automated cracking tools in the 1990s and keeps evolving as compute power gets cheaper. Imagine a child trying every 4-digit PIN on a phone until one unlocks, except the child is a server farm that never tires. Rate limiting, account lockouts after multiple failed attempts, and requiring longer, unpredictable passwords reduce the effectiveness of brute force. For critical systems, multi-factor authentication and password policies that enforce length and entropy are essential to making brute force attacks impractical. Session hijacking. Session hijacking is the cyber version of stealing someone's wristband at an amusement park and strolling into the VIP area. When you log into a website, the site often gives your browser a session token that proves you are authenticated. If an attacker intercepts or steals that token, they can assume your identity without ever knowing your password. Public Wi-Fi and poorly secured networks are fertile ground because tokens and cookies can be intercepted there. Real-world incidents have shown how attackers exploit unprotected sessions to take over accounts and post as users or change settings. A simple user habit like checking email at a cafe can become risky if the network is compromised. Use HTTPS wherever possible. Prefer VPNs on untrusted networks. Set short session lifetimes on critical services and log out of sensitive sites when you finish. When available, enable device binding or additional verification steps for new sessions. Man in the middle. A man-in-the-middle attack is exactly what it sounds like. Someone positions themselves between you and the service you communicate with, reading or even altering the messages without either party realizing it. This technique can be as trivial as intercepting traffic on an unsecured Wi-Fi network, or as sophisticated as manipulating routing and certificates. The danger is twofold. Attackers can eavesdrop on confidential conversations, and they can inject misleading or malicious content into otherwise legitimate traffic. High-profile disclosures in the 2000s revealed how powerful interception can be at scale, and public hotspots remain a common risk. The everyday analogy is having a private phone call in a crowded room, only to find someone has been listening and changing what each side hears. Protect communications with end-to-end encryption when possible, avoid sensitive transactions on open public Wi-Fi, and verify certificate warnings rather than dismissing them. Evil Twin. The Evil Twin attack, also called fake Wi-Fi, is a confidence trick dressed as convenient internet access. An attacker sets up a Wi-Fi network with a name that looks legitimate, something like coffeeshop_Wi-Fi, and waits for users to connect. Once connected, users send traffic through the attacker's equipment, where credentials can be harvested, traffic inspected, or malware injected. It is basically a fake storefront that looks real until you walk through the door. These attacks became more common as public Wi-Fi proliferated in the 2000s, and they continue because people crave free connectivity. To protect yourself, disable automatic Wi-Fi connections, confirm network names with staff when using public hotspots, use a trusted VPN to encrypt your traffic, and prefer mobile data for sensitive tasks when you are away from secure networks. DNS spoofing. DNS spoofing manipulates the internet's phone book. The domain name system translates human-friendly names like yourbank.com into machine addresses. If an attacker poisons DNS records or a local resolver cache, they can redirect users to a malicious server that looks like the real site. You type the right address, you see the right page, and you hand over credentials to someone else. History shows attackers using DNS tricks to intercept high-profile sites and to funnel traffic to fraudulent copies. The everyday comparison is calling a business and reaching a fraudulent operator who then takes your details while pretending to be the real company. To mitigate DNS risks, use secure DNS resolvers that support DNSSEC, keep network equipment patched, monitor for unusual DNS changes in organization domains, and enable additional verification like HTTPS and certificate checks before logging into sensitive services. Backdoor access. A backdoor is an unauthorized entry point left open so an attacker can slip back in later. After an initial compromise, attackers often install persistent mechanisms that bypass normal authentication, allowing long-term control and data exfiltration. Backdoors can be deliberate implants inside software, malware that maintains access, or misconfigured systems that never had proper controls. Supply chain incidents and third-party compromises have shown how a single backdoor inserted into trusted software updates can expose thousands of customers. The 2013 Target breach is a classic example of how attackers used vendor access to move into a larger network and steal payment card data. Backdoors are dangerous because they are stealthy and persistent. Strong defenses include limiting privileged access, monitoring for unusual persistent connections, keeping software updated from trusted sources, and using application allow listing and integrity checks to detect unauthorized modifications. So, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when a new video drops.